Welcome back. We're finally finishing up the entire interior on this car because recently we put back the entire dashboard, passenger knee airbag, and both of the seat belts, but we were missing a couple of parts to finish up this entire interior. For example, both of the current airbags, the driver's side knee airbag, the steering wheel airbag, and we also had to sew up both of the seats together, or the little piece that sits on the rear left of the seat where the airbag is, and also the driver's seat we had to completely stitch up, which was a little bit harder than we thought. And here you can see this is the current state of the car. The entire headliner is out and is laying on top of the car, and we also have the center console loose, but that's just a couple of screws. We don't have the steering wheel airbag. None of the curtain airbags are in yet. Driver's seat obviously is missing, which we also have to put everything back, and also that little piece right here, as you can see, which we sewed back up, which goes back there in that corner. And yeah, I'll show you guys the driver's seat. Here's the driver's seat, which is completely stitched up. This is the stitching that we had to do and did it completely ourselves. And this is the one for the rear left. This is also everything stitched up way better than I thought, because this is actually our first time ever doing this. Sewing something together like this, something like this is really important, because this is the part that you see when you walk in the car or when you try to get in. Same thing on this side. We already have the airbag inside of this one right here, as you can see, but this one we still need to slide it in and then screw it back in there. And then we're gonna have the entire process of putting the entire seat together. And it's a little bit complicated because it has all of those massaging pads, a lot of electronics in the seat itself. So it makes the entire thing a little bit more complicated, but we took it apart, so we definitely know how to put it back together. And here are all the parts that we were missing: both of the current airbags, the driver's side knee airbag, and also the steering wheel airbag. We buy all these parts from a shop in Fort Lauderdale. We're really happy with them, and also good customer service and everything. They buy crash cars and take all the parts off that are still good. They check them to make sure that they still work, and online you can also see the VIN of which parts these cars came off of, and also by their shop you can see the cars which these parts actually come off from. So you can look at the cars yourself, look at them, look at all the parts. They have a lot of parts, all OEM parts that come from crash cars, but they are legit and everything, so there's nothing to worry about. Really good parts. And yeah, we're gonna start with these now. So first up, we're going to do the driver's side knee airbag, which just has two nuts holding it on this side, and this is the plug for the airbag itself. And now the last step for the driver's side knee airbag is going to be the little cover that goes underneath, which has a speaker and a light. And one more thing that we need to do, which I forgot to mention, is that we need to take out this ECU, which sits under the center console, because that's where the crash data is stored on the car. And to not have any fault codes or anything on the car anymore, you need to delete those, and we need to take it out and send it to someone so he can delete those off of the ECU. And yeah, I'm gonna take it out now. I have it out now. This definitely took a little bit because these 3 screws and these plugs are not the easiest to get out, because all the tight space that you have in there, don't really have a lot of room to play with in there. But finally got it out, and now we're gonna send it off to a specialist so he can delete the crash data. And now, after taking the ECU out, I'm gonna put the center console back. I'm gonna slide it into its place, put the bolts back in and the nuts, but don't tighten completely, because we are gonna have to put the ECU back. So we're just gonna put the center console and everything back so they don't have any of the parts flying around, and so that we more or less have the interior finished. So I'm gonna start on the center console now. And now we have the holes aligned, and now we can put all the screws back. And now we can put this cover on, and this just has a couple of clips across the entire thing, so this is also really easy. Same thing for the other side, put all the screws back. And also the cover. Now the last step for a center console is going to be this back piece. First we need to put these 2 screws back, which go on the bottom, which holds the entire center console in place. And then after that, we're going to have to put this back piece on, which has a couple of connectors for all the electronics, and the rest is just clipped in. This entire thing definitely looks a lot better now. And yeah, we're gonna get moving with the curtain airbag now. And here we have the curtain airbag, and as you just saw, this is just more or less like an air mattress, just completely rolled up. And I'm super excited that we're at this point right now where we get to put all these puzzle pieces back to make all these finishing touches on the interior. Yeah, super excited on how it looks by far right now. Already looks 1,000 times better than when we bought it. And yeah, I'm gonna continue on this now. As you also just saw, we have to take off this little piece here and the screw, because there's one screw for the airbag holder, which is right here for this little plate right here, and there's one screw behind here. And we're not going to tighten this up completely and leave it loose like this and not put the screw in, because we are going to put the headliner in, and we're probably going to have to pull this in there so the headliner can slide in there. And that's the curtain airbag installed. Just a couple of these metal clips and a couple of screws, and we're gonna move on to the next one. And to kind of give you guys an idea on how these airbags work, we have the old curtain airbag down here, and this essentially is the entire airbag. And we have this, which just covers the entire airbag, which just goes around it, and also these holders that kind of wrap around it to hold it tight in its form. Yeah, this is what a lot of people think is the explosive, but this just releases gas really, really fast and blows up the entire airbag. Gas doesn't stay inside of it. It mostly is just there for the impact for that little bit of time, and after it releases fast again, because if you look on the other side, there are these cuts in here, and some people might say that it's after it, when they try to get out, they cut it so they don't stay open anymore. But this is actually from the manufacturer itself. They manufacture the entire airbag, and then they just make cuts inside of it so the gas can release itself. And here's another good example of it. The steering wheel airbag has these two holes because it explodes, and then right after it, it quickly releases all the gas again. And another good example is this A-pillar trim, which is burnt right here. As you can maybe see, it's brown and stuff because this is Alcantara. The dashboard airbag blew up in the front, and it had the little cutout hole on the side and blew all the hot air and the gas onto the A-pillar trim and burned this completely. So we're also gonna have to replace this because this is burnt and you can't really save this anymore. But yeah, that's essentially how all these airbags work. And yeah, we're gonna move on to the curtain airbag. Now we can also put this connector back in. And to continue on this side of the curtain airbag, we have to take off this cover of the C-pillar and take this little airbag sign off, because there's a screw to take this off. Then we can tighten this up because there's a screw for this little plate. And since we're already on this side, we can already install this airbag, which we also completely stitched up here. And this has one airbag plug up here, and the rest is just clipped in. And here you can see we now have the new part installed, which is not the new one, but still the old one. And yeah, it was a good decision that we still took the old one and repaired it, because first, it looks really, really good. And there's also no color changes in the leather itself. So it's still the OEM part, but we just sewed it back together ourselves. And now after finishing up the curtain airbags, we're now gonna move on to the headliner, pull it in from the back, and then slide it all the way into the front. And it looks a little bit weird and chaotic in here with all these cables and everything just out like this, but this is gonna be a complete game changer after putting in the headliner. And yeah, we're gonna get started on that now. And now after sliding it in, we can now clip this in with these two white clips on the back, and this black one up here is a guide pin which goes into this hole up here, and these are the holes for the white clips. So we're gonna do this back now, lift it in, put it in, and then there's also two white ones in the front, which we're gonna do, and then it should already be in the air and connected to the car with those four clips, but then we're gonna have to go around and do the other clips. Here are the two white clips in the front. These are all the connectors for the lights and all the electronics that go on the top here, which I'm just gonna go through here, which you can sort out after. All right, and that's the headliner in place. Not everything is in yet because we still have to put a lot of things back. Now we're gonna have to go around. Since this has a sunroof, it has metal clips around, 4 on each side, and we're gonna have to clip those in now too. And now after clipping everything back in, there's still a lot of tension on parts like this that goes behind this pillar and this cover. So now I'm gonna take this off because this side we already put back because we forgot about that. But I'm gonna take this off, put it a little bit in front, and then put this behind it. So here we have all of the parts that we still need to install back to the entire headliner. These are some parts that go up here for the D pillar, as you would probably call it. And then also all the handles, B pillar, and sun visor, and this part, which is for all the lights and other electronics that go into the entire headliner and the car itself. And everything in here just gets clipped in. And something to not forget is to put back these plugs, which are the plugs for the headliner. Because before we took it out, we thought that every single light and all the four corners and speakers that are in the headliner have their own little plug, but it turned out that they only have two plugs for the entire headliner. I guess one of them is for the lights and one of them is for the speakers. And for stuff like this, it's important to go back and see what kind of steps you took and if you're missing anything, because for stuff like this, the cable could just be laying up there like this. You probably wouldn't even see this, and then you put everything back, think it's done, but then you have a big problem and don't really know where to start looking for those type of problems. Make sure that you have everything connected and everything was done perfectly. And yeah, I think after this, after we put all these little parts back, that this is gonna look super good OEM, and everything is still the same OEM parts. The entire headliner is the same and never took any damages. A lot of people probably would say that they would maybe replace it because when the airbag explodes, it kind of curves down the headliner and kind of bends it, and it looks like that the little crease will stay in there, but it's not. If you let it just lay down normally in its normal form, then it will go and you won't really have that crease anymore, and the thing is going to look really good after fitting all these parts. Yeah, especially if people want to replace the headliner like this. In this situation, this is all fully Alcantara, so this would be really expensive and just piles up all the money that you will be spending on this car. And I'm going to be starting all the way from the back and working my way to the front. So first up is going to be this deep pillar cover. So we just got both of these pieces in, and this already looks 1,000 times better. Super excited of how this turned out. Looks really clean. Yeah, everything works, and we're gonna move on to the handles in the front. And now these handles are just clipped in with these two metal clips on both of these sides, and also have two small guide pins. And now after clipping in the handle itself, there's two of these little covers that go on, but it's not just to cover the clips, but it's also to push apart the clips because it goes between it and also then secures it in the top so it can handle the weight. And next up, we're gonna do this B-pillar cover, which sits right here and slides in on the top and has two clips on the bottom. And before we even put it on, we need to feed the seatbelt through here, so I already have it pulled out. And after putting all the trims back, the headliner and stuff like that, we can now put the seal back correctly. And just after doing the B-pillar trim, we're gonna head on with the A-pillar trim so we can also do this seal. And now after installing the A-pillar trim, we can now head on with doing this seal. And now after finishing this side with all the seals and the trims, we're now gonna head off to the other side. And as you can see, this entire thing looks super clean, and there's no creases or anything. And this just looks, yeah, again, super clean, and I'm really excited about it. And now since we're doing the other side, we want to do this B-pillar now. And what we already did, which we didn't think about, since the seat is in here, not like the driver's seat, we already attached the seatbelt down here. So we're gonna have to take it off again, because as I said before, we need to feed the seatbelt through here. So we did one step too much in another video. So we're gonna have to take that off at the bottom again, which isn't a huge deal. So that's what I'm gonna do now. And what we also have to do now, since it is a new seatbelt, we need to keep it under tension, because it still has a thing that it will retract, but it's hard to get it out because it's only at a certain angle where you can pull it out. So that's why my dad is holding the tension on it whilst I feed it through here. And here we have the new A-pillar trim, because as you have seen before, this part was burned off because of the dashboard airbag. So yeah, we have a new piece here, and I'm gonna put this in now. And the same thing on this side, there's absolutely no more creases, and this looks brand new. And the same thing with this new piece, there's no more color changes. The only thing I can see that this one's lighter, but that's because of the Alcantara, because it does make different colors depending on what way you put it. So next up, what we're gonna do is do this front piece, and we're gonna start with the sun visors. And this side, you need to put the hook separately, and this little plate goes in between the headliner and the metal roof itself. So we're gonna have to probably take this down again from these plastic clips, and then slide it back in, and then attach the hook. Now we have the hooks in place, and what I also saw is that these connectors for the entire control panel up here, that they're not right, so I'm gonna have to pull them away, because all the plugs of the control unit sit on the front, and there's also one clip on here. And the same thing on here, just like the handles, that there's this little plastic clip that also spreads apart the clips in here, so you have to take them out first, and then you can put the hooks in. And the same thing is for the sun visor itself. It also has one of these clips up here, and also the plastic piece that spreads it apart, so we have to take that out too. And also a cable up here for the light for the mirror. And since I'm already on this side and I have the seat here, which is a little bit more comfortable, I'm gonna head on with the control unit, which sits right here. And there's also this piece, which is the cover for the mirror holder up here. So I'm gonna put that on first before this is in the way. And to finish it off, the icing on the cake is this little piece up here, which just goes over this. And that's also the second sun visor in. And looks really, really good. We're now moving on to the seat, and as you can see, we have it up here on our little table and on the dolly, so we can spin it around because we're going to work on the back and on the front and everything. So it just makes life a little bit easier to be able to turn this around and stuff. And here is the seat cover, the backrest and everything that we stitched up. Looks really, really good, and this is all the massaging little points that get kind of blown up with a little bit of air for the massaging and everything. And these are the, I don't know what to call them, on the side that kind of hold you more tighter, that go together, and these are mechanical. In our F80, these are actually like these that actually blow up, cushion you and hold you together. Be working on this, have all the other parts to the seat up here, the back part, another back part up here, the headrest and everything. And here's the new airbag, which just gets hooked up with this hook in here. And then we have one little screw and nut that we're gonna clamp this onto. And yeah, we're gonna get going on that now. And also to say again that this seat is definitely not the easiest to work on. It's really, really complicated with all the things that it has inside of it, which is kind of surprising that it has all of this mechanical stuff, pneumatic, with all these air and stuff like that. Also the back, just in general, this entire seat has a lot of electronics and stuff like that inside of it, which makes it 10 times harder to even take this thing apart, and harder to remember all the things they need to put back because it's small stuff. Yeah, it's just really, really complicated. So this is definitely gonna take a little bit to put all this together, but we're gonna get going now. And when we took this entire seat apart, we didn't take any videos of it, but we did take a couple of photos. For example, for connectors like these, to know which goes where and how they go everywhere, because there's a couple connectors flying around here which we weren't too sure where they go. But this is, for example, for the headrest, because this moves up with the motor up and down, which is like surprising because I've never seen that. And this one, for example, is for the charging port back here. And yeah, I'm gonna put all these together now. And also to know, because these are two kind of the same connectors, to also see on the picture, this line that was up here, you can see that the one with like the half line is on the top and the other one is on the bottom. So we have that done now, and I'm gonna move on to the airbag. And to put this airbag in, we're gonna have to slide it into the sleeve up here, and be careful to not rip anything off because this is just sewed up together. And then after, like I already said, this kind of hanger, it gets this, slides in there, and then this on the bottom was riveted before. And now we're just going to use this nut and bolt, which doesn't really matter what you use as long as it's connected. So as you just saw, this little piece that gets hooked into here is a little bit hard because you have to stretch it out a lot to get it even into here. So we had to use 2 people for this to get it into here. Yeah, we're gonna do the other side. And we also just saw that this little cushion piece doesn't get hooked into here because that was a little bit too loose. And we just noticed that it gets hooked over this little hook or the little pin, and then we just push it inside. And same thing on this side, we just hooked it up. Also need 2 people for this side because it's the same thing. And now we're gonna do this bottom piece. And now we have these connectors, which we also have to connect all of these to. And then we also have this piece of leather, which we have to hook up. And now we're going to move on to the headrest. And this screw is also a little stopper because this entire thing moves up, so it doesn't really pop out, so they just put a screw in there as a little stopper. So we just had one small thing again that we couldn't film because we need 2 people, and it was a little bit more complicated because it goes all the way around in here and then into this box right here for the seat itself, and yeah, connect it up here and then goes around this little thing right here and then connects up here. Yeah, that should be everything connected by far. And next up, we're gonna pull this up. This lip gets connected up here on this railing, and then we have these 2 pins that we just pulled connected down here as well. And now the last couple of finishing touches. One of the bigger pieces is this back piece. Just gets clipped in on the top and on the bottom. Also, we have to take these out again because this is also connected with these 2 small clips. Now onto the top back piece. And this here is the finished product now. Everything's put back. This was not the easiest seat to put back compared to our F80, which we also had to take apart. This was a little bit more complicated, but yeah, I'm super excited that we finally got this, and let's throw it back in the car. So now I just put the seat back in, and I have the bolts here, and I also connected the power on the bottom, the connector, and now I'm gonna do the back 2 and also the front 2 if I can reach them. And then we have to put power onto the car because we need to put the seat back and forth to reach them so we can tighten them completely. And yeah, I'm gonna try to do that now. So the current problem that we're in right now is that we need to bolt the seat to the floor, and to do that we need to move the seat back and forth, and we don't have any power right now on the car because we took out the entire engine. Due to that, the fuel line is open right here. If you want to put power onto the car, the first thing that the car does is prime the fuel pump, or it tries to build up pressure, so it just shoots out fuel the entire time. So right now we're checking what fuse is for the fuel pump so that we can take it out so the fuel pump doesn't get any power anymore, so that we can put power onto the car. So we finally got it in, everything's secured, and the seat is now bolted on. Yeah, looks really, really good. The seat by far was probably the hardest part out of everything on the car. And if you take a look on the dash, we can see that there's a couple of codes, but that's obviously due to that we ripped the part out of the entire car, and it's not really happy with that. But that's what we had to do, and yeah, we're gonna move on now. And to kind of clarify again what we did to get power onto the car, because we don't have the engine in there right now, and the fuel pump and everything is still in there obviously, and the fuel line is out in the front as you saw before. Every time when we would put power onto the car, not even press the start or anything, just put power, the fuel pump tries to build up pressure, and it just shoots out a lot of fuel. We definitely don't want that. So what we did, we looked up the fuse box and everything, and the numbers and what they are for, what fuse, And then we pulled this fuse out, tried it, and it was this fuse because it had a little gas symbol, as you can see here. And we're going to keep it out for the time that the engine is out, obviously, so we can still put power onto the car if we need it. And yeah, I'll show you guys real quick what we're going to do so we don't lose this. All right, so what I just did, I taped the fuse onto the kind of shell of the box that covers the entire thing and left this little string hanging over so that when I put it back, I have the little string or the tape hanging out of here, and it just constantly reminds us because I just did this and my dad also knows about it, so we're always going to know that we still have that fuse not plugged in there. Here's the final piece of the puzzle and the moment of truth where we find out if everything works and if we did everything right. After I install this airbag, my dad's going to walk to the back and put power onto the car, and then I guess we'll see. The installation of this airbag is pretty straightforward. Plug it in and then just clip it in. And I'm not going to remove this plastic just yet. We're going to put power onto the car now. And after everything works and we know that everything works, I'm going to pull it off because this for me is the sign that everything is done and that the interior is done. All right, go for it. Just do it. Let's see. Looks like it. Definitely looks better than I thought. And this thing definitely looks insane and looks really, really good and brand new, more or less, I can say. Everything seems to be working. We can go over everything. For example, the seat and everything works here. Every small thing up here. Even the headrest, which I was surprised that this is electronic and everything, because in most of the cars you have to do it by hand and everything by yourself. And yeah, all the controls, everything on the dashboard works, all the lights, and also up here the light works. The sun visor, the mirror also works. So I guess we can say that we did everything right. And also when we turn this light off, the cool feature that this car has is this lighting up here in the panel roof, which is kind of cool. You can see it's like these little dots. It doesn't really pick it up that well on camera, but it looks really, really cool in person. So if you haven't seen this in person, definitely try to see it for yourself because it's actually a really, really cool feature. Turned out really, really well on the inside, and obviously the car still has a lot of problems. That's why you hear the beautiful BMW chime, but still have the window broken. We're gonna let that be for its own right now. Yeah, as I said, a sign for me that something like this is done and that we don't really have to worry about it anymore is, for example, like this little plastic right here, that I'm going to pull it off. And what we're also going to do is, since the inside is done and the outside obviously isn't really that far right now, so what I'm going to do is take the hood badge right here and I'm going to put this sticker or this plastic onto the hood badge. What we're then going to do for that chapter for the outside is keep it on also until the car's completely done, and then also take it off when the car is obviously completely done, also as a sign that the car is finished. I'm excited of how this turned out. I'll give you a quick look on the back seat. This turned out really, really good. Also, these lights up here under the seat work fine. The USB port, everything works. Also, again, this stitching that we did ourselves right here looks amazing. And after checking everything in the car to make sure that everything runs perfectly, we can now say that it's completely done on the interior and works perfectly fine for now. Maybe there's going to be some problems in the future, we don't know, but as of right now, everything works perfectly fine. We still have the crash data that we need to delete on the ECU, but that's not a big deal. We just need to pull the center console back a little bit again, slide it in, plug it in, and that should be it. And yeah, I'm going to do the honors and put the sticker on and pull it off. And yeah, this is now for the new chapter of this car, which is going to be the front end. What an amazing car. This car turned out super, super nice. And yeah, we have a whole new chapter in front of us here. A lot more to work on. We're going to do everything step by step, not skip any steps, don't cut any corners, do everything properly. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notification. Drive safe and stay tuned.